All right, so welcome to episode 3 of the devlog for Superstar Shooter 16. Um, these are kind of the big announcements, overview for today's video, that type of thing. So first up, my VCS dev kit is incoming. I think it's getting shipped out on Tuesday, so super excited about that. We're going to take a look at the roadmap, see how things are progressing. I'll show some videos of the new features in action, and then there's going to be some short Unity tutorials, one about building a custom build manager, and the other is just about how I update the audio visualizer. And then we'll conclude with just some plans going forward type of thing. Okay, so in terms of the roadmap, I've basically got two of the major goals completed. So UI improvements, it's like 99% there. I'm calling it done. And improving the music synchronization. That was a fair bit of work, but it wasn't too bad. I was planning to work on the trailer. I think I'm going to delay that for a while. I think I want to use footage from the final version of the game before I get the trailer made, and I need a bit of time to plan it out. So I'm kind of mulling it over, but that's where that's at. Next thing is all of this stuff related to gameplay, balancing, score balancing, putting new enemies in, that type of thing. That's basically what's up next. I will say that if I get my VCS, I'm probably going to, sorry, when I get my VCS, I'm going to play around with it a little bit and probably try doing some experiments with porting the game over to the VCS just to see how things perform and get an idea of what that process is going to look like. So that's basically where things are in terms of the roadmap. So we're going to dive into some gameplay here. This is a build of the game, basically showing off the Atari VCS infographic here, showing how to use the controller. Might get this customized in the future. I will actually. Just there's extra buttons on this, like the B and Y, which aren't really in use for this game, so we don't really need them showcased. Same with the left trigger. In order to show off the audio visualization, we're going to pick a level here. This one actually worked real nice. So you can see in the background there's some movement, and you'll see that things get more bright as the song progresses. Go. See, it's getting pretty intense right now. There's a whole bunch of special weapons in this game. They're a tad overpowered, but it's going to tie into the whole game balancing thing. I'm going to dial some of this back. It's basically just too easy. The music in this game is by Andreas Rodin. He's a Swedish demo scener. Makes old retro types of music. actually beneficial to use some of the older music formats on this project. I found they actually loaded quite a bit faster than using WAV files or MP3s. So. There we go, that's level end. See, the scores are just ridiculous, so I'm gonna dial all that down and make collecting a multiplier something a little more special, because it has a big effect on the end score. I think I'm gonna end the gameplay section here. Okay, so I'm here inside of the Unity editor, and one of the things I want to show off that I recently built was basically custom build manager. Superstar Shooter 16 is available on a wide range of platforms, Xbox, Windows on ARM, Steam for Windows, Steam for Linux, and there's a custom arcade cabinet we're using it in, as well as it's coming to the VCS soon. So I want some level of customization specific to each of those platforms. So what I've developed is we've got this game object that's platform specific customizations, and I can go to edit script, and it's a pretty simple concept. We've basically got this enumerator that gives me more or less a drop down in the editor, so I can pick which console I want to target. So general I use for just about everything. It says, you know, it shows like an Xbox controller, and it's suited for most platforms like Steam or the Microsoft Store. Atari VCS is going to be specific to Atari, and the Orwellotron is for an arcade cabinet. So that's basically all we do here. We select that. There's a little bit of customization here for Windows on ARM. Basically, with ARM processors, you're not supposed to use post-processing effects, so it basically disables that. Post-processing is just like if you want to make the screen brighter or fuzzier, doing things that basically affect the whole screen. Okay, so next up, I'm going to show my logo screen here. So this is how we transition after you hit the OK button on that screen. So if the platform is general, we go and show an Xbox controller. If the platform is Atari VCS, we show an Atari VCS controller. If the platform is Orwellotron, we show an arcade controller. So let's give an example of this. So platform-specific customization. So we're set to general. We should expect to see a Xbox controller. There we go. Boom. Xbox or X input joystick recommended. Let's make some tweaks here. So let's go to the Atari VCS option. There we go. Now we see an Atari VCS controller. And finally, just for fun, let's show off the Orwellotron one. There you have it. That's an arcade stick because the Orwellotron's an arcade machine. So because there's so many different builds going on, I had to set up this script. I think it's going to be helpful as I go forward on this project. And next up, I'm going to be showing how I dialed in kind of the audio visualizations and made that whole thing work better. Okay, the next part of this tutorial is going to get a little complex, but I'm basically just going to keep it as brief as I can. So how the audio visualization works is there's a script called Audio Peer, which I got from a tutorial called Peer Play. And basically what that script does is you can imagine it tuning into the background music of the game. And it basically starts cutting the background music up into little slices in terms of frequency. So you could imagine how I've got it set up. There's 4 slices. So one is like low pitch noise, medium low, medium high, and high pitch noises. And then it's taking an average of that spectrum in each case. And it's returning that as values between 0 and 1, which are constantly changing. So if you can imagine a song with like a really driving bass, boom, 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 that's going to be continually spiking the low frequency band going between 0 and 1, that type of thing, which will create a pretty intense visual because a lot of what I'm doing here, we'll talk about this script now, is we're taking the intensity, which is basically the brightness, and we're tuning that into each of the frequencies. So if there's that low noise going, right, boom, 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 that driving bass line, that's going to continually spike the brightness of an object up and down, up and down, up and down. So similar things, these basically tie into shaders, which are kind of like the wrapper that go around the 3D objects. They're what makes it look pretty. So there's a bunch of other parameters that we can change. So this is like a whirl shader, and you can dial in the number, which is basically how dense the whirls are. So that's kind of how that works in a nutshell. Essentially, what I had to do, I made some changes to the audio peer script a few months back, and I didn't adjust these values here accordingly. So I went through each one of these values, adjusted them, played the game, see how it looked. It's kind of a back and forth iterative type of process. Each level has its own shader, so the background looks different in each level, at least a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty much things there. Thanks. Okay, so in terms of plans going forward, I think more or less almost all of these tasks that haven't been completed are kind of going to happen concurrently. Typically, when I get a new piece of hardware like the Atari VCS, I get pretty excited about it. So I'm gonna probably start working on the port as soon as I get the console. So some of the things like new enemies and whatnot might take a bit of a back seat, but it's all gonna happen prior to the launch because as I was showing there earlier, the game's just way too easy right now. So those are the plans going forward. That's where things are at. Estimated release day is still pretty much exactly the same. It's sometime between September and November of 2023, but we shall see. Okay, thanks for tuning in.